Obvious question, but how do you bounce back 19 hours later from that, physically, emotionally, the whole package?
Well, it wasn't the World Series and it wasn't the playoffs, but we went through a lot of those this year. Grueling losses. And of course, the one that always sets up everybody's mind is the one against San Diego when we're in the middle of trying to win the division and crushing loss for us. And you got to bounce back. That's big league baseball. And I heard the guys last night when they came in after the game. They said we've been here before this year. We got to pick it up and get them after them tomorrow. And as I said after the game last night, tonight if it's 4-3 in the bottom of the ninth inning, Jeurys Familia will be standing on that mound. And that's just what you got to do, and you got to be, you got to realize it's all part of the game. We talked about the Royals' ability to come back. They do it all the time. So tonight we got to get after it again.
And over here, far left aisle.
I'm sure you'd love deGrom to go the whole way or win 15-0, but would it be a nice situation to be able to get Familia right back out there instead of having to linger on that save for a while?
No question about it. As a matter of fact, these are the times you got to do it, and not just for tonight, and not just but just for the whole future. You got to get him back out there when it's the toughest spot, but he needs to be back out there, and that's the perfect scenario is to look up and have Jake hand the ball to Familia and let him start the ninth inning and go at him again.
All the way in the far back.
Terry, what's Cologne and Nice's availability tonight?
Cologne won't be available. One of the reasons why we took John out when we did is that we thought we might need him tonight, so we kind of wanted to limit him a little bit. So he's probably still available, but Bartolo will not be.
And straight up the left aisle.
Sorry, with the benefit of 20/20 hindsight, that's all it is. Did you guys, after the game last night at all, think about talking with Familia about the quick pitch? Because his stuff has been so phenomenal in the second half of the year. He's been so good. And the question is, how important is it for him to have that?
Well, it's, once again, Buster, he's been really effective with it. Tried to throw a split off it last night. And again, by the rushing, he didn't stay on top and left it up. So the one thing you want to try to do, though, is not, when you quick pitch, not just use one pitch, but he just left it up. And, as we know in sports, again, the game's played by great talented players who once in a while make mistakes. When he made a mistake, he just didn't get the ball where he wanted to, and he paid the price for it, and that's what happens when you play good teams. But I try not to say, hey, look, you got to, don't use that anymore, because it's been an effective move for him. So we just got to realize that when you do it, if you're going to miss, you got to miss in the dirt and not up in the middle of the strike zone.
And all the way in the back right.
Terry, Juan was just in here. Can you tell me how he handled the fluctuation in his playing time mid-season on to here, and how valuable he's been to you since then, coming off the bench and spot starting?
Well, obviously, this guy signed a nice big contract in spring training as our guy, coming off the Gold Glove year. And he just, there were times this early in the year where he played, there were times where he struggled, especially against right-handed pitching. And when he got Yoenis, he was so hot, somebody had to sit, and that's why I said what I did for this whole time, to watch these guys who had been everyday players, and even Michael Kadire was one of them, who all of a sudden became platoon players. You know what? They just said, hey, look, I'll do the best I can when I'm in there, and that's the way Juan, any time I talked to him about it, he said, I'll be ready. I'll be ready tonight when you need me, and he always has been. And right now, you look back at the last 2 or 3 games he's played, he's probably had as good at bats as anybody in the lineup. So I got him in there tonight. Johnny's tough on everybody, but the numbers that right-handed hitters have against him are a lot better than lefties. So I said this is a perfect opportunity to see if Juan can stay hot, because we need him.
And all the way left wall.
Terry, Harvey threw a lot fewer fastballs than usual. Is that about how he felt about his stuff, or more about the respect that you guys have for the Royals, the way they hit the fastball?
Yeah, John, I think it was a little bit of a quality of both. I think Matt knew early he wasn't real sharp. We also know they hunt the heater early in the counts. So, he wasn't making pitches with his fastball, so I think he went to his secondary stuff. And I think that's why when even in later in the game you saw him fatigued, because he had to work so hard. But that originally was not, hey, look, let's just make some pitches. The first pitch of the game, the game plan was to come in here, and he left that out over the plate. And that was an immediate example of, we got to make pitches against these guys.
And over here, the left in front.
Terry, you and Ned both got your jobs through the more traditional routes, managing the minors, coaching the big leagues. You see a lot of guys now get their jobs unconventional ways. How much better a manager do you think you are because of the path you took?
Well, I don't know if I'm better than those guys that are getting them right away. Mike Matheny's done pretty good, so, and a few of those other guys have too. But you know Ken, you and I have talked, as we've all talked. The game of baseball is different today. And that's just the way it is. You know, guys are going into the front office. They are assistants to general managers where the conversations are, you know, about the team every day. And general managers are hearing these guys are sharp. They have a great feel for perhaps talent or perhaps how the game should be run. And so they're getting jobs where years ago you had to go through the minor leagues. But, I mean, I was a minor league director and I tried to run it the way I was brought up, and that was to let the guys manage in the minor leagues, and that's not really done today. You know, lineups are being written for them. This guy has to pitch today at this amount, and you can't pinch hit. You know, these guys got to hit the whole game, and they don't manage anymore. You know, they're kind of dictated what goes on. So, again, I think it's all part of the new era of the game of baseball, professional baseball, and again, I don't look at it and say, wow, they should have done this. I wish they would have, because they'll appreciate managing here a lot more than if, you know, they forgot. A lot of times when you're a big league player for as long as some of these guys are, you forget about that bus ride from, you know, Williamsport to Three Rivers, Quebec. You know?
And front right, Bruce.
Terry, you talked about the resilience of this team briefly. What is it about the fabric of these guys that allows them to do so?
Well, again, as you know, Bruce, I always go back to the leadership in the clubhouse. That means so much when you have a young team, and these guys have been, they've been here, they've been in postseason, they've been through tough times, they know what it takes. They know how to not get too high when things are going good, and last night when the game was over, not be dragging in when they're coming in, pouting, throwing their equipment around the clubhouse. Hey, it's one game. We got 6 more to play. We had a chance to win the game. We didn't win it. Well, let's get another chance tomorrow night. Let's put ourselves in the same situation, and I think that leadership spreads.
And over here in the front left.
Hey, Terry, was Wright running on his own last night in the 9th inning with Murphy up, and after that he seemed to have a tough extra innings with a strikeout in a key situation, a couple of fielding plays. What went into all that?
Well, once again, we're handing out scouting reports, so I don't like to do that, but well, it was he's got a pitch tonight, though, isn't he? Same guy? Might come out tonight? Well, he ran out of pitch. The guy was 1-7 to home plate. Okay, as you know, if you're 1-5 or above 1-5, you should still be able to steal second. So we knew that going in, so we gave him the green light. We thought he was safe, and obviously, he wasn't. But, and again, we like, I know Dan's swinging good, but they got a decision to make. Do they want to face him or Cespedes? So in that situation, we kind of like the chance of seeing if we can get a guy in scoring position to add on a run, and they just threw him out.
And again, left front.
Do you ever get superstitious either now in these games or during the season as far as what uniform you wear or what style of uniform the team wears?
Well, as Katie can tell you better than me, this is all dictated by them right now. I mean, tonight we'll have a different uniform on, which when the game is over, they will stamp it, and we'll wear a different uniform tomorrow. So, so it's pretty hard to be superstitious. You know, there were times when you didn't wash your stuff. Well, now it's on eBay the next day. So it's a little different. So those superstitions are kind of gone. Oh, yeah. I wear the same stuff every day. Now I can't do that anymore. It's all gone.
And over to the right, far right.
Terry, you mentioned how the quick pitch has been helpful for Familia. There have been a few times where teams have disagreed about its use and tempers have flared. Has the acceptance of that technique changed at all? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when you're looking at how Johnny Cueto does it and how Jerice Familia does it, it's a little different than how Hansel Robles did it or a couple other guys. It's all about making sure the hitter is aware that the pitch may be coming. Now, you can disrupt that timing in his batter's box, and it's always anybody who has any of a lot of movement or the big leg kick, a quick pitch can affect them as long as they're paying attention. It's when they're not paying attention where, it becomes an issue. So, again, it's all part of the game now. I don't think it's the hard part is calling it consistently. instead of throwing your hands up and calling the pitch a ball, hey, if the hitter's got it, if he's in the batter's box and he's got his head towards the pitcher, it should be ready. It should be, if it's legal, it should be okay to do it. But once in a while there's that fine line you walk, and you have one umpire, as we all know, that says, I don't like that, so I'm going to call it, and then another umpire said it's okay. So, but it's part of the game that it's a useful part because it does disrupt the hitter's timing.
Okay, again to the right.
Terry, regardless of what happens tonight, Noah is going to be pitching a huge game when you guys get back home. He's 23 years old. He's been in the big leagues for 5 months. What are the things about him that have been the key to his maturity as a pitcher? You've talked a lot about, and we've seen the growth as a pitcher. And what is it about him besides the 100-mile-an-hour fastball that makes you guys confident in pitching that game?
First of all, he's a very fast learner. I've told you guys all season long, the most impressive thing I saw from Noah Syndergaards when he first got called to the major leagues, and here's, we've got deGrom, we got Harvey, very similar guys. He stood next to our pitching coach night after night saying, okay, so Matt threw his slider in that count. Is that a good pitch for me to throw, or should I do this, or should I do that? Trying to learn how he's going to be successful. And because of that, he's trying to study the game and learn how he can be better. He has no fear. He believes he belongs here. And that speaks volumes. When you got that kind of stuff and you're not afraid to throw it, and you're not afraid to give up a hit because you think you can get the next guy out, you can be dangerous. And Noah just got better and better and better as the season went along with the confidence he had that he could be successful here. So, but it all comes with his ability, his desire to get better.
And we got 3 more for Terry in the front.
Hey, Terry, Wilmer Flores has this very special style of fielding ground balls, especially with short bounce. He just threw his glove at it. I don't know if it's to get an extra step in a runner. What do you think about this style of play of Wilmer, and who do you remind him as a shortstop you have seen?
Well, everybody's different. As long as they catch it, you go back years ago, I was apt to get to see who I thought were 2 of the best shortstops in the game. I saw Tony Fernandez, who I thought was absolutely fabulous, was a one-handed guy. And then you had Ozzie, who at times was one-handed and at times was the conventional 2 hands. So as long as they catch it, I don't care. I don't think you can change guys. And Wilmer's a big, tall, lanky guy who likes to use one hand. So, but he's, again, I think he's learning some confidence to play shortstop. Because he's so big, you can compare him to just a few guys who have played that position in the past. But I try not to make comparisons to anybody, because then somebody says, well, geez, that other guy would have made this play, or that other guy would have made that play. Wilmer's his own guy, but we know when he's swinging a bat, he's dangerous no matter where he plays.
And up the back, right column.
Hi, Terry.
Oh.
Little guy in the back. A lot of fans online.
Little guy in the front, too.
A lot of fans online seem to think you should be greatly aggrieved at still pictures of Sal Perez using what looked like pine tar on his shin guards. Assuming you're not greatly aggrieved, why not? And does your guy do it too?
Well, I don't know if Travis does it. He probably does, but I've seen in throughout baseball, everywhere, you have it. And again, catchers, they got to get a grip too, especially on cold and damp nights. They need a grip on the baseball, so they use pine tar for themselves. And you know what? It's so obvious. The umpires see it too. And if it's that obvious, they would do something about it. But because it's only really concerned with the pitchers, and again, I don't think there's really enough to put on there that you can wipe it on, throw the ball back to the pitcher, to where it's going to affect, how the pitcher throws a baseball. So, Bill, I go back to my days in Albuquerque when it was cold and dry. And I had pitchers that you couldn't shake their hand because you couldn't get your hand away from them. But and the argument was, well, you can either do this or you can let this wild sucker throw some balls at 95 miles an hour with no command. I think any hitter would say, let him have a little command on it. It's okay.
And last one in the back.
That's very tough to follow, but I'll ask you about Lagares. How much of getting him into the lineup tonight is based on defense, windy, big park, and everyone has an opinion on last night's first play, difficult play, but how much did you see last night and you said, you know what, I got to get my Gold Glover out there?
Well, this had nothing to do with first play last night. We should have caught that ball. Both guys I thought had a shot to catch it. like I said, Michaels, he was there. He just thought he heard Joe call for it, so he backed off. The ball could have been caught. The same thing could have happened if Juan Lagares was out there. Same exact play. I thought tonight we were looking at the matchups with Johnny Cueto. That's my first and foremost thing. Right-handers hit this guy better. And then secondly, you look at, okay, if you're going to put him in the game so you can DH Conforto. And then the ballpark comes into play, and the wind tonight comes into big play. We knew it was going to be windy, so we just said, look, we'll put him out there, and we can always, if a situation comes where he's got to face Wade Davis, we may have to hit. But we'll worry about that towards the end of the game. And last night was a perfect example. We got the lead. We got our defense in there. It wouldn't have made, it didn't make any difference. So again, there's nothing that it's easy to say the next day. Well, if he'd have been out there, he'd have caught that ball. You can't say that. He might have shaded him farther over than Yo did, and wouldn't have got there at all. So, I just said right now tonight I go by the fact that right now Juan's swinging the bat pretty good. So hopefully he can get some hits.